Hi, friend, and welcome to the Dreamers Podcast, the show where we explore bold dreams, highlight inspiring stories, and the real journeys behind them. I'm your host, Lydia Ingegneri, and each episode I sit down with creators, founders, visionaries, and everyday people who dared to imagine more and did something about it. This isn't just about success. It's about the setbacks, the turning points, the late nights, and those moments when quitting felt easier than continuing. So whether you're building something new, standing at a crossroads, or simply searching for inspiration, you're in the right place. So take a breath, lean in, and let yourself dream a little bigger. This is the Dreamers Podcast. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dreamers Podcast. This strappingly handsome young man sitting next to me is my eldest son, Dominic, and today we get to have a mother-son conversation, which I am so excited about. If you have met my son, you know how extraordinary he is. If you haven't, you are about to find out. But a question that Scott and I get a lot about our family and about our kids is, how did they start doing what they're doing so early? And not to brag, but I will say that Dominic is definitely one of those young kingdom entrepreneurs that has been raised up very early, started very early in his calling, in his career. And so today we are just going to have a conversation about that. And our prayer as you are listening to this, if you are watching, is that you will be inspired, that you would be filled with faith. If you are a parent who's listening to this, who is parenting a young creative, there is hope, there is help, there is wisdom, and there is guidance. Yeah. And if you are that young creative, I think you're going to be really inspired by some of the things that Dominic is going to share today from his heart and from his journey. So, son, welcome to the Dreamers Podcast.
Thanks, Mom.
This is so fun. This is so special.
This is really fun. I'm really excited.
So special for me to get to just be able to help get your story out there publicly. I know we have obviously, over the course of the years, had so many conversations about what God is doing in you, what he's doing through you, what he has done for you, all the places you have gotten to go, all the things you have gotten to do. And today when we are recording this podcast, you are 19 years old.
Yep. 19.
But this journey began for you, honestly, I will say, before you were even born. You know, over every single one of my pregnancies, I prayed for every single one of my kids. And there were some very distinct things that the Lord said about you, which we will get to. But I would love for you to just kick us off today and to share whatever part of your story in the beginnings that you want to share, and just kind of introduce the audience today to who you are.
Well, like she said, my name's Dominic, and I am Scott and Lydia Ingegneri's eldest son. But no, I've kind of, throughout my whole life being in a creative household, just been surrounded by a lot of creative things, and been, I think, a creative as long as I can remember, just from just stuff that you and Dad were introducing me to, but also just like being in church all the time, being a pastor's kid, just being exposed to so many creative things. Yeah. And I think specifically lighting, which is like my primary creative focus. I think it was when I was around 8 years old or maybe 7. Yeah. My parents were putting on a live recording for our church, and they brought in a lighting director from California, Lucas Jameson, who came in and either installed a bunch of lights or was just using what we had. But I remember he just kind of let me come in and mess around with like one light or something like that. And I kind of just been hooked ever since then, which is really random. But yeah, so ever since then, I think that's like the moment where lighting has kind of just been my thing. I think I love how it kind of can change an atmosphere of a room, how it can set the tone of a song, and just leave a lasting impression on things, which is, I think, where why I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I think around that time is when I started getting into that, and then just slowly growing at church and doing camps and stuff like that for youth, our family camps that our church was putting on. And yeah, I think that was like a lot of the groundwork for that. And then once we moved out here to Nashville, is kind of when I was put in rooms with a lot of incredible people, really. And so when you guys were on staff at a church in Franklin, and we had a production director there who had done a lot of integration things. And so I began to learn a lot about how lights actually work and how to install systems and things of that nature. I learned just a lot of really great tools on just not even, because lighting isn't just, what you're seeing. There's just so much behind it that makes it happen. Yeah. And so I think I just learned so much being there about how that works. And then around, I think it's been 5.5 years now. We transitioned to the Belonging Co. up in Nashville, and that's where I kind of got connected with some incredible mentors of mine, people that I have looked up to and dreamed of just getting to work with since I had first started getting into lighting, especially moving out to Nashville and learning what the Belonging was. I had just kind of always been inspired by what they were doing. So it was kind of, if anything, just like it would be incredible just to meet some of these people and all that. But I started going to the youth group, and I was invited through a friend, and we were just going on Wednesdays every so often. I was like kind of going there and then like somewhere else. And then slowly I was like, hey, I know you guys are on staff at this church in Franklin, but I really feel like I'm supposed to be at the youth group here. And so you guys kind of released me to go do that. So on Wednesdays, I was kind of going to the Belonging full time, and started getting involved in lighting and later on worship and drumming there, which is super fun. And now
he's also a drummer, ladies and gentlemen.
I do drum.
Yes, a very good one at that.
I wouldn't say that, but no, I try.
Would. But you're above average, that's for sure.
But no, I started getting really plugged in there, and then the Lord kind of closed that season at our church in Franklin, and I know you guys were kind of trying to figure out like where the Lord was leading our family to be kind of permanently based. And we were trying some amazing churches, and I was like, hey, I really think we should go to the Belonging Co. on a Sunday. And I don't know, like I in my head, it took forever to convince you. I don't think it actually did, but it was like, guys, I really think we should go. And I think we went one Sunday and then just went the next. And then 5.5 years later, our family's been permanently based. Yes. And it's been pretty special. But I remember, I think it was that I started going to Youth Co. in January of that year. And I think we were in August, about a month out from that conference, which was 2021, I believe. And the Belonging had hired a new lighting director, Luke Hilliard, who I didn't know, but I knew of. And I knew he was like in charge of lights and stuff. And I'd only been running lights in youth. I'd never done anything in the main auditorium or anything like that. And I just reached out to him and I was like, hey, my name's Dom. I do lights in kids and youth sometimes. And like, I know conference is coming up. I would really love to be there. I think our family's registered or something like that. And I'd love to just shadow you for like a session or something. Like, I'll just bring you water. Like, I think in that text, I literally just said, I just want to be there and do whatever. So like, put me to work. Like, I'm happy to just stand in the back or, put me in coach. Wow. So I reached out to him and his response was super quick. And he was like, hey, yeah, I'd absolutely love to get you involved. Obviously, like I've been on staff for a month, so we're still figuring stuff out, but I've got some programming days coming up. Why don't you just come out and hang out? And I was like, amazing. So
I remember this. You were so excited.
Yeah. So being in youth, I didn't have a car. And so they would just drive me up.
We were the transportation.
There was like
very worth it, I will say.
The first like 2 years of that was just always getting rides from my parents and from our production director random church staff members who lived in Columbia.
Thank you all for partnering with us in helping this young man's dreams come true.
Oh my gosh, it was something else. But yeah, so I remember I just went to one of these programming days and got to know Luke a little bit and just kind of sat in there and like, it's so funny because me and Luke have known each other for so long now and been collaborators on some incredible projects.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's always a masterclass when I'm in the room with him.
That's awesome.
And so
That's
that
so
first
good.
time, like I was learning a lighting software that I like had never really gotten to use before. And just like the way he was just like immediately like teaching me things. And I was like, this is crazy. And then to this day, I don't know what he was thinking, but it was like one of these programming days. He's like, okay, I have like some meeting. Why don't you like program a song or two? And then he just leaves. And I was like, okay, like, sure.
You're like, what is happening? Are you sure?
Yeah, like that's awesome. I don't know anything.
Wow.
And so there was probably, I think for that conference that year, I think 3 or 4 songs, if that I got to program. Who knows how much he had to go back over and be like, this sucks. But no, so that was kind of the start of things there. And that year I ran Lights and Kids for conference, which was such a special experience.
Yes.
And just kind of helped Luke out with whatever and Andy, our production director. And so, yeah, that was a pretty special year. And then kind of from then on out, I was just always running on Sundays or Tuesdays, literally whenever I could. And for Conference 2022, we were back at the arena, and it was like the same kind of thing. I was helping out with kids a lot, just helping Luke wherever. And then 2023 was kind of the first year that he had asked me to run lights for main conference and stuff like that, which was pretty special. And then kind of as we've grown, I've now since kind of taken over a lot of pretty much all the programming and stuff like that, which has been pretty wild. So yeah, it's been crazy. So.
It really has been crazy. And it's been, just as a parent, it's been a really amazing process to witness. I want to go back though to when Dominic was really little. And thank you for sharing all of that, by the way, because it's just amazing to see how God has so quickly directed you and put you in the path of the right people to help that saw something in you, but help pull out like what was in you, which we're going to talk about that. But when Dominic was really little, we're talking like 4 or 5, 6 years old. We were senior pastoring a church in Arizona at the time. And every Sunday, my husband Scott would get up in like literally practically the middle of the night, 3:30, 4 in the morning to get ready to leave for the church about 4:30 in the morning, because he always went to go and pray. And there were times where Dominic would be up and ready in his cute little polo and khakis and, Nikes, begging to go to church with his dad at 4:30 in the morning to pray through the worship center, to pray through the church with his dad. And I remember there were times where I know your dad was like, buddy, it's 4:30 in the morning. You need to go back to bed. You're going to be exhausted, and you would be like, no, Dad. And I'm ready to go and I want to go with you and pray. And thank God for your dad. He saw that hunger in your heart for the house of the Lord. And I just want to say that of all the things that you've already done, all the things that God has laid out for you to do, it is a beautiful thing as a mother to be able to say that I know that is the desire of your heart. It was because you really wanted to be in the house of the Lord. And that foundation for you started before you ever got to hit that one button on the console that Lucas lets you play with, Yeah. But that really, I think, has been your number one driving force is I want to be in the house of God and I want to use my gift in the house of God. I think for me, actually, my earliest memory of you with lighting, this is a funny story, was when you were... I
think I know where this is going.
Okay, like when Dominic was 5, there was a lot that happened that year, okay?
Yeah.
Age 5 was like an amazing year. So he had just So Dominic loves Christmas.
Yes.
You are
favorite
like
holiday.
Mr. Christmas right here.
Favorite vibes.
I think you were actually 5 when you and I started decorating our outdoor Christmas lights together every year. It's been a tradition. Literally every year, Dominic and I do our outdoor lights. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But one year, it's Christmas time. Dominic is 5 years old. We're living in Arizona. We get a knock on the door, and our neighbor, our very kind and nice neighbor, comes and says, "Hey, I just want to let you know, I think it's funny. This isn't bothering me, but your son is a block away rearranging all of the neighbors' Christmas lights."
Yeah.
And I just remember standing there going, "Oh my gosh." And of course, knowing Dominic's love for lighting and Christmas, I could just see the little wheels in his brain turning, going, if they would only do it this way, it would look so much better.
Yeah, I had a vision.
He had a vision for the entire neighborhood of what the entire neighborhood should look like. So he thought he could just take that liberty. And so we had to, go down there and get him and tell him, "Hey, buddy, you can focus on our yard, but we need to let the neighbors kind of do their own thing." And to his great dismay, I think that was kind of shocking to you.
Yeah.
When you realized you couldn't rearrange everybody's Christmas lights.
Hey, it's all right, though.
That was such a great one. I've laughed about that literally every single year when Christmas comes. Like, hey, are you going to go and arrange everybody else's lights? But yeah, it was very clear that you were called to leadership. And, in fact, when I was pregnant with you, and I would pray over you, a very clear word that God gave me for you was that you were a leader of leaders. And I thought to myself, wow, someone who understands what leadership is and means and who has walked in it, and knowing that can be a very, it's a high privilege, and we're all called to lead, of course, in whatever, sphere of influence that we're in. I believe with all my heart that there's always somebody watching you and learning from you, no matter who you are or what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But we would tell you that all the time. You are called to lead. You are called to be bold in your gift, and you're called to influence other people. And again, when he was 5 years old, one day he crawled up on my lap and he said, "Mom," and he had this really kind of deep, husky voice when he was young. And he said, "Mom, why is it so hard to be a leader?" And he was so serious, and he was so cute.
Hey,
and
I still do that.
Yeah, no, don't we all? It's like, why do we have to do this? Why do we have to
This is hard.
This is really hard. And, and I think it was at that moment, like, where your little heart, where your little spirit was already, I think, understanding this level of like, I'm called to actually make a difference in the kingdom of God. So talk a little bit about, so you grew up knowing you had this God-given gift, one that manifested itself very early. And I remember when we were, on staff at that church in Franklin, that was right when COVID hit and we had to go online. Yeah. And as a 13-year-old, you became our online service producer, recording, editing.
And my dad.
Yeah. And I just remember something as a mom that I felt was, although I saw the gifting and talent in him, something in me also felt kind of like guilty, like, don't put all this pressure on him to have to do this and all this responsibility and da-da-da-da-da. And it was a wrestle in my own spirit. Yeah. But I remember the day where, you and Dad were talking to me, and, Dad was pretty confident that you could do this. And obviously we were right there with you, and you had us as mentors too. But that moment, I remember, where I had to, in a sense, let go of that fear of what releasing all that responsibility to you early might do to you, or might cause you to feel, or, I didn't want you to crash and burn. Like, I'm like, how, he doesn't even, he's still learning how to do his laundry. Like, how can he, do this, Yeah. But talk to me a little bit about that season when you were like 13-ish, when you really, I think, knew in your own heart, okay, this goes beyond just a talent or a passion. I really feel like I'm called. Like, what was that like for you?
It's interesting because, like you said, you and Dad have, my entire life, like, known that there was something there and had tried to champion it. I think it was interesting when I had like this weird like crossroads of, I was doing all the video at the church. I was drumming a lot. I was doing lighting. I was doing graphics for people. And for a minute, that looked like what I was going to go do. So I think it was this like really weird like crossroads if I just had like so many things I was like wanting to do that I like didn't know what to do. And especially then too, like I was getting in rooms with a lot of amazing people here in Nashville and some really wild connections, seriously. And so I think it was like a really like, I was just like kind of stressed about it. And like, I remember the amount of conversations with my dad of like, hey, like, and I don't mean this in a bragging way at all, but like, hey, I'm like really good at this video thing, but like, I don't want to do that. And like, I want to do lights, but it's like, but I was also 13. So it's like, hey, you can't go on tour, dude. And amongst my best efforts, I tried. I seriously did.
That's not happening.
No, it was like, but no, it was one of those things where it was just like, I think it was like, I just had a lot of, like a creative overload in a way.
Totally.
Where it was like, and I think the Lord just being like, all right, this is like, hey, I have all these gifts in you, like you need to run with it. But it was like a hard thing because, like my age and there was some doors that I couldn't walk through yet amongst me, especially when I wanted to. It was like lighting was the biggest one that like forever it was like, hey, this doesn't make any sense, but like I really just want to do this. And drumming, and I know my dad's a little salty about that still, that I'm not your full-time drummer, but it's okay. But
is it?
Yeah. But yeah, I think there was a few specifically youth camps in that season, and just like some really special worship and event things that you guys were putting on that I think really I had a lot of clarity and a lot of I had a lot of people speaking into my life around that time who were able to, I think, help me I think process a lot of what I was like thinking and like going through from like a, hey, I'm at this point I just feel like I can't do any of these things because like I think you're right with all those gifts manifesting from such a young age. It was like I can't really do a lot of this right now just because I'm so young. But I think there was some really amazing people who were like, hey, you might not be able to go on tour right now, but what are some things you can be doing and learning right now that will set you up for success in that? And we experienced that a lot with some just close family friends of ours. And once I was really getting plugged into Belonging, the Belonging production staff is just all touring people. So I literally was just learning every day of like, hey, how does all this work? Like all those things. But I think there was like I don't remember when exactly this happened, but I feel like it was either a prophetic word or just somebody just encouraging me like, hey, you have so many gifts here. Some of these things are temporary things. Some of them are things that are going to manifest themselves way later in your life. Like it's okay. You don't need to do all these things right now. And although that was really hard, it was really hard. One of the things that I put down for a minute was lighting, which is crazy looking at that now. Even though that was the one I was like, I really want to do this. And so I picked up video for a while and I was doing that. I was learning graphics. We have a really, really close family friend of ours who's known us forever, Megan Mitchell, who brought me onto her creative team, and we were doing videos and graphics and some really awesome stuff. And I was learning a lot there, and she had kind of put together a team and was like championing us and putting us on Zoom calls with some incredible people to like learn. So I really learned a lot there. And then later on, I even asked Megan to be my business coach and like, hey, like I'm like starting to do some wild things with business. I'm 14. How do I do this? So she was honestly a huge champion there. But yeah, I think it was a learning to put stuff to rest for a season, not like put it away, like never gonna pick it up again. But like learning to, all right, I'm gonna put put this here and give it to the Lord for now. I'm going to go do this. And then one day that door will open, which I know you've experienced some of that with Awaken and what we're doing now.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I think that was kind of how I got through that season was just, all right, obviously the Lord has given me this gift, but it's not for now. So I'm going to put it away. And then when the door opens, the door opens, and I'll run with it. So
it was such a huge lesson in trust for you. And I remember it so clearly. And I just remember watching you through that season, and you embraced that. Like, I know it was hard, but you embraced it. I mean, it's such wisdom coming from you right now. I mean, this is the type of stuff you hear like a lot older people say, but the fact that you just were like, well, I'm going to embrace what's in front of me right now. And I have to trust God that if this is what I'm called to do, he will open that door for me. And, you know, something we've always spoken over you, over your brother, over your sisters, is that your gift will go before you and will place you before kings. Yeah. And that there are works that God has prepared for you beforehand, before you were even created, that you should walk in those gifts. Yeah. And if it's something for you to do, God is so faithful. And another thing that I just really want to pull out, because yes, I mean, Scott and I saw something, of course, in our son. We see it in our other children too. We are not perfect parents by any means, but I think something that we did do right is recognize the gift in them when they were young and tried our darndest and hardest to give them opportunities to develop those giftings early, but also realizing that they need the voices of other people who are more experienced, who can speak specific. I mean, we couldn't train Dominic in lighting, you know, I mean, we could say, here's the console, have fun pushing buttons. But I mean, we couldn't train you in how to program and see certain things and understand what everything is. So as a parent, as parents, like our responsibility too is to, well, number one, I just feel like if you are obedient and do what God says, he will be faithful to your children too. We have witnessed this now for literally 19 years. Not only with Dominic, but with James and with Kelly and Mia as well. But God is faithful to bring the people that will help pull out the gold in your kids. And, you know, starting with when you were 8 years old to when you were 13 years old to 15 years old to now, it has been really just an amazing, amazing thing. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about how you got into touring, because you said in this last little segment here that, you know, touring was not an option. Obviously at 13, you are right about that.
Yes.
And most parents would say that even at 16 or 15, touring is not an option. But what happened was, actually, I think when you were 15, you got your first invitation to go on tour. But you did start touring when you were 16. Yeah. So tell us how that happened.
Yeah. Well, so it's kind of crazy, just like you said, like how quickly it was like, yep, touring's just not an option, to like it's right here. Yeah. It's definitely an option. But yeah, I think I was 15 maybe, and I really was like, okay, lighting is what I want to do. I'm super passionate about it. We're in Nashville. It's where touring is basically based out of. And so I think it was, I don't even remember what year you opened for Darren, but they're way back when.
I think it was like 2017.
Something like that. My mom opened for a Christian band called We Are Messengers in Phoenix, and you had stayed connected with Darren and his wife. And when we moved here, you guys had still kind of known each other. And so I was like, hey, I really want to learn lights. So I, on a whim, reached out to Darren and was like, hey, you don't know me. You might know my parents, but I do lights, and I'd love to run lights for you or whatever. I think that's literally what I said. It's like the craziest thing. But I mean,
you never lacked boldness in reaching out and putting yourself out there.
Take this home. Sure. The worst they could say was no. So I was like, all right, cool. So I reached out to him, and he got back so fast and was like, hey, I'm not sure if we're looking for anybody right now, but I'll put you in contact with our production manager and we'll reach out to you or whatever. So that kind of sat there for a minute, and then I randomly got a call or a text. It was either from Darren or maybe their production director. I don't know. They're like, hey, we're doing this weekend out in Washington. It's like the Washington State Fair or something, which is a big show. And we need an LD to come out. Like, would you be available? And I was like, yes. And I think I said yes without asking you first.
Probably.
And I was like, yes. Let me check on one thing and then I'll get back to you. Yeah. And I think I like called you, or we were at like a football game, and I was like, hey.
We would be the one thing.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, so I just said yes to going on this like tour. And I say tour, it was like one show or something. And you were like, I don't know. But finally, I think you guys were like, all right, like, sure. And so I called him, and then I think I was like, oh, and by the way, I'm 15. I think I was 15 when that happened.
I think so, on that one.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, just so you know, I'm 15. And they were like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
And then that was like it.
They had to process for a second.
Yeah, and then I think I got a call from their manager saying, hey, he said it has nothing to do with your abilities or anything, but you know, I don't think we can legally hire a 15-year-old, which was like disappointing in the moment, but I was like, totally get it. And then I think I had turned 16 and we were hanging in Nashville or whatever. And I got a text saying, hey, we're doing a show in Nashville for this like camp thing. We need an LD in like 2 weeks. Like, do you want to come and do it? And I was like, yes. And so I came in, I did it, met everybody, 4 We Are Messengers, and it was a good show. And it was like, all right, cool. But they already had a lighting director. So I was like, that was really cool. All right. And then a few weeks later, I got a message saying, hey, we're doing this like fall tour. And our lighting director can only do the first 2 weeks before he has to go and do something else. So there's like 4 or 5 weeks of this tour that we need a lighting guy. Do you want to come in and fill in for him? And through lots of conversations with you guys, and I think some nervousness and a lot of different conversations, you guys said yes. And so I was like, yep, I can do it. And that was the fall of 2022, I think. It was the first time I got on tour bus, and I did that with them. And it was such a cool experience, and I'm so grateful for that. And then we kind of transitioned into the next year, and We Are Messengers was going on a Cast and Crowns tour, and they weren't able to bring a lighting director. And so I was kind of like, all right, cool, I'll just wait. And then through a friend of a friend, somebody I had like met through the Belonging, but like was also in touring, who knew the production manager for a band called Kane. They had a lighting director who dropped out, and they needed somebody like really quick to come and do this whole like 3-month tour. It was Kane's first headline tour. So they were like, we really need somebody. So I went out to lunch with the production manager at the time, and we sat down and we talked all through it, and he was like, you're very experienced or something like that. I don't know. And he was like, you clearly know what you're doing. Great. And I was like, and then at the end of it, I was like, and by the way, just so you know, I am 16. And he's like, well, to be honest, you sound like you know what you're doing, so I don't have an issue with it. Obviously I'll bring it up. And then like literally it was either that day or the next day, I get a call saying, hey, we'd love to have you out. And I was like, amazing. So I did that whole tour. And then We Are Messengers was kind of making a transition into new things. And so I ended up going out with Kane full time that whole year, which was super awesome. But yeah, I think I found out in hindsight that like they had an emergency meeting with like the Canes and all the management, like, hey, I think we're about to hire a 16-year-old. I don't know if we can legally do that. And but they did find a way. And I think you had to like sign a release or something.
We did. We signed a lot of things.
But I went out with them on that Live and in Color tour, and it was like an amazing experience. And then last year, I was out with Zach Williams kind of in between Kane stuff, and made some amazing friends and connections there. I went on my first country tour with Walker Hayes for a whole summer, which was honestly like one of my favorite tours ever. Like, some incredible people, and kind of my first like transition into country music, which was really fun. And then the rest of the year was doing a lot of Kane shows, Zach Williams. I filled in for a friend and did some Scotty McCreery shows. So I was just kind of getting and all through word of mouth. I don't think I've ever gotten a gig ever that wasn't because of just a connection somewhere that somebody I knew. And then we were kind of at the end of last year, and I was like, man, I think it's time to kind of transition into something new. And I didn't like know what it was yet, but I was like, I'm happy where I'm at. So I'm like, I'm cool to stay here, but I'm also like, if something new comes along, I'd be happy to pursue it. And then a friend of mine had been asked by this country act, like, hey, do you know of anybody who's available as a lighting director? We're about to hire somebody full time. And he was like, nope, don't know anybody, but I'll let you know. And then randomly he was like, oh, wait, like Dom just told me that he was kind of feeling like he was wanting to transition into something new. So he sent my name along, and I happened to know this person through touring. And so we went to coffee and kind of got connected, and I heard the name Tucker Wetmore for the first time. Didn't know who that was. But I was like, I'm super excited. It sounds awesome. And through the coffee appointment, it was like kind of like lined up with everything I was looking for. And they were like, well, I think you're great. I think you would be a great fit. Let's set up another appointment with our manager, and we'll kind of get into some more details. So we did that, went to coffee with Tucker's manager, and we kind of talked through a bunch of things. And I thought it was just like a just get to know you type thing. And then at the end, she was like, well, you're hired. And I was like, oh, great. So that was in, I think, December of 2024. And then it turned into like hey, we just want you to be our lighting director. It'll be like a day rate type thing, to, hey, we actually want to bring you on salary. And then hey, we want you to program the show. And hey, we actually want you to design the show. So it kind of like quickly turned into this like really amazing thing. So at the start of this year, I went full time with Tucker as his lighting director and show designer, and it's been a wild year, to say the least. And it's been awesome, just the way Tucker has treated me and the whole crew, and the way that they've created an amazing touring culture. And it's honestly an amazing group of people. And I'm super stoked that I get to be out there with them. We have been so fortunate to be able to attend every show, or at least one show with every artist that you have toured with. And I have never cried so much through total joy and elation and just overwhelmingness when you're sitting in an arena, with thousands and thousands of people, or a really big church, with maybe 1,500 people. It doesn't matter whether it's the largest crowd or a smaller crowd, but to see your vision come to life in the midst of an atmosphere like that, as a parent, has been one of the most overwhelming, beautiful things. So proud of you, Dominic, just for your commitment to grow and learn, to take what the Lord has brought to you. And I will say, when you were 16, actually 15, and getting these, invitations to tour, you might be sitting there wondering, well, why did you say yes to that? And the bottom line is because God told us to. We took a long time to say yes to that, because we fasted, we prayed, we made, we weren't just going to send him out like, a sheep to the wolves, and
there is, not every touring culture is great. Thank God he has been immersed in some really good ones.
Yeah.
And even that, the people you have toured with are very blessed, because I am a prayer warrior and I have prayed and interceded not only for you, but for the people that you've been working for and with, and all the artists and everyone. You have had a lot of prayer over these last 4 years, so you are welcome for that. But I remember your dad, if he was sitting here, he would say that he recalls that moment where we were praying and where the Lord spoke to him. And he said, you will say yes to this because Dominic belongs to me. And this is what I've called him to do. And I will be with him. And I will give you guys the wisdom, the insight, and I will give Dominic also the wisdom, the fortitude, the strength to be able to handle this and to grow. And it was a word from God, you guys. It was a word from God, straight up. I mean, it was just, I remember the day sitting in the living room, tears streaming down my face, being afraid, but also being totally at peace, knowing that this was what you were called to do. So, and all the while that he was touring, he was also continuing to serve faithfully at church when he wasn't on the road or when he had off days, still serving and doing all the lights at TBCO conference for 5 years now, growing in that. And again, like giving that first fruit of your time, of your energy, even of your finances back to the church. Yeah. And, I know that's something for you that is very important, whether you are doing lights in a church service, at a conference, or for a secular artist, doesn't matter. You understand your assignment is to change the atmosphere. Yeah. And something that we have declared together with you and with your siblings since you were tiny was, good morning, Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, take control. My name is Dominic Joseph Ingegneri. I'm an ambassador of the kingdom of God, and I will bring your kingdom wherever I go. So no matter where you are, you understand that that's your assignment. And I know for you that when you're programming lights, you really have a goal with that. It's not just about looking cool. Yeah. It's about creating an environment for people to experience something. So talk just for a minute about what goes through your mind when you're designing and creating. Yeah.
It's interesting because I have so many different processes for different things I'm doing. Obviously, I have a wide range of things I'm doing, whether it's a country show or a worship service. I think to look at like specifically what me and Luke do for the Belonging for conference and all that is we kind of look at the vision and the word that has been kind of set from the top with Henry and Alex, and how they've kind of set the vision and the table for what conference is going to be and what they've prayed into. And then from there, kind of the creative team kind of takes that and runs with it and comes up with some pretty incredible things and ideas for me to work in. And then once the production design and all that has kind of been solidified, then Luke will kind of bring it to me. And specifically this past year is like, hey, I'd love to get your thoughts and input on this. And so I'll kind of bring a lot of ideas to the table as far as visual things. And this year, I had some very specific looks that had kind of come to mind. We also recorded an album at conference this year. So having those songs in advance and getting to kind of listen through it and hear kind of the sound that conference was going to be. But I think what's really cool is just the way that me and Luke collaborate, because Luke does all of our LED content and programming for conference, and I handle a lot of the lighting. So the way we kind of both bounce off each other now of Luke being like, hey, I've got this download on what I feel like content is supposed to be for this song, and so then I'll fit lighting into that. Or there was a song where I was like, hey, I'm can't get this out of my head lighting wise, and he'll design some content around it. So I think a lot of it is just there's some specific things that just present themselves as like a no-brainer, but also just the random downloads you'll get in the car, or like there was some on the way, like I was driving to the church to work on some stuff, and I was listening to one of the new album songs, and I like saw this like very specific thing, and that's what we ended up doing. And so I think a lot of it is just kind of listening and making yourself open to, you know, different creative inputs, because there's going to be, especially with the belonging, there's like a lot, but also like just kind of setting yourself in this, like, I'm just going to listen to what the Lord wants me to do here, and trust that like that he's going to kind of work through me and what I'm seeing. And when you kind of do that, you start to notice that even when you're in an arena with thousands of people, that what you're looking at is like so intentional. And even though there's so many people involved with getting it there, when you can see how intentional and the way everything kind of looks, you realize how kind of in sync the team is, and how like surrendered the team is. I know that there was several times kind of throughout the process of conference where the team would just sit down and pray. Specifically in the middle of conference, we after one of the sessions, we sat down as a production team and we just prayed. And I think it's when your whole team is kind of aligned and unified like that, that just kind of happens. And I think the other interesting thing is, like, especially with me and Luke's relationship, is Luke has taught me so much in most of what I know about lighting, that we have like such a great creative collaboration. And like the way I think about stuff is a lot of how he thinks about stuff, because he taught me most things. So I think it's cool now that we're able to like really just bounce off each other really great. So I think it's like working with people that creatively you think a lot alike. And a lot of the times now it's like, with him being our visuals director, like I'll like make a decision, we'll watch through it, and before we're even done with it, I'll make a note of it. It's like, Luke's not gonna like that, or like random things like that. But yeah, I think it's just making sure that throughout the entire process you're just very clear and aligned on what the vision is, why you're doing it. And
is that also in the touring world too?
Yeah,
if you're not working with a Christian team or a church team?
I think it's a little different. And like,
how does this play into the touring world?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is like, with my touring experiences, I've like kind of done two sides of the coin of like the Christian touring. So I think a lot of it applies there. It's like, and I'll use the Canes as an example. Like, they would come into rehearsals and with like this very specific vision set of like, hey, this is what we're wanting to see. And yeah, I think it's like, just know why you're doing it. And I think this goes for programming, but also just like, if you wanted to put like this is why I do what I do, but like make sure that what you're doing programming wise or whatever is just intentional. Like, hey, I had these lights move up to this position for this reason. So it's like, I think you're just making sure that everything you're doing is intentional. You're not just doing things to do things. And then I think for a country show, it's like a little different, because like it's for the entertainment. But I also know that like, for like, especially using Tucker, like he has a lot of deep like meanings and lyrics in his songs. So I think some of it is just like fitting the tone of like where he's at when he's singing the song.
That's good.
And like, he has this one song that's that he talks about his relationship with his dad, and it's like a very, you know, somber song. And so it was like, that was one of those moments in the show where it was like, I'm not gonna do anything here, and like, not like in a like lazy way, but like this moment doesn't need that. So I think it's also like, you don't need to use everything all the time, and you don't need to go crazy all the time. It's like,
choose your moments.
Yeah, choose your moments. And like, I'm a big like mountains and valleys programmer, so it's like, I really want to you know, just not have everything going all the time, like give you different things at certain times. But that was one of those songs to where it's like, is just very simple and and it's him on the piano, just kind of let that moment speak. But I think that kind of goes for a lot of things, even in worship, is it's like, hey, this song, like you could always do a billion things, but it's like, hey, for this song, like I'll just tone it back a bit, or like just focus on the, like creating like a beautiful look and like leaving it there. I think we did a really great job of that at Conference 2025 this year. Was like, hey, let's just create a beautiful look and just kind of let it sit there.
It was absolutely stunning.
Stunning. And even though there was like a million different things, like you could have a light hit on every snare hit type thing, which I do a lot, but it's like, but for some songs and things, it's like, hey, just let it breathe and, you know, just create something beautiful and just kind of let you look at that. So
that is such good words of wisdom. As we start to bring this conversation down, you know, you started earning an income at an early age, and you know, you've had to learn early how to steward your finances, how to, just live differently. And what would be some words of advice that you would have for young entrepreneurs? Just any practical tips, any stewardship tips, just anything that comes to mind of stuff that you've had to learn at a young age when it comes to just stewarding your business, because you also launched DI Creative when you were 14, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, you know, your own like creative production company. So talk a little bit about that and kind of what you would say to somebody your age.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is there's always going to be something you can learn. There's always going to be somebody who is excited to teach you. And I think always like ask. Like the worst they can say is no.
That's so
and
good.
Most of the time, and I don't say this as like I'm a big time touring guy, I can like speak to this, but it's like most of the time, like if you come up to us at front of house and they're like asking questions, like we're super excited to like tell you all about it. Like we're proud of what we're doing.
You're
and
nerds.
So, it's like, so it's like
in the best way possible.
Yeah. So like, especially like a lot of these shows that I'm putting on, like I'm so proud of like the show we're putting on that it's like, I'm happy to talk all about it.
That's good.
But like, I think it's just be bold and like ask questions, go up to people who you think are unreachable. And I think you'll be surprised how many people are just eager to kind of release their knowledge, but also just like build connections. The amount of times I've like met somebody once and they're like, oh my gosh, like I need to connect you with so-and-so. Just like a wild connection. And you're like, what? And you're like, I just met you. But it's like, no, you and this person like should really be connected. And so I think that's like a big one, is just the amount of, like, the worst they can say is no. And then what could come of it, you never know. But you gotta be bold and you gotta ask questions and you gotta just reach out to people, like send DMs, be like, hey, love your stuff, like what inspired you to do this, or just like random stuff. Like it doesn't matter. The amount of times like earlier in my career that I would like just reach out to people that I followed on Instagram and it was shocking the amount of people who responded. So I think that's important. I also think as far as like stewarding your finances at a young age is like find somebody who can teach you, because what you don't want is to be uneducated to where you have all this money or you've built up this business and you kind of don't know what to do. So like I mentioned earlier, I reached out to Megan Mitchell and was like, hey, can you be my business coach? I'm like starting to make an income, whether it be a lot or not at 14, but it was like, I'd like have money, I don't know what to do. And so like part of it was like, how do you steward your finances, and like, what do you invest back into yourself? Like it's okay to buy a laptop for work and like things like that. And like what's better to save and things like that. So I think just,
so good.
You know, finding somebody, it could be anybody, but somebody that you think would be a great influence on that, and just like, hey, I need help. Like what would be your suggestions here? And
that's so good. So you have gotten to do lighting all over the world now.
Yeah, all over the world now.
So you did your first European tour this last spring. You're going back to Europe this next year. You get to go to Australia. You're going all over the place. You have gotten to do lights in some arenas that I know have been on your bucket list items since you were like tiny. Yeah. So tell us the places, tell us your bucket list of what
gosh.
you've done and what you want to do.
Yeah. Oh man. So this past year specifically, we had the opportunity to play the O2 Arena in London, which was pretty cool. I'd say that was in like the top 5 for
London.
sure.
Yes.
The O2 in London. I don't know. I think there was like some surprising venues this year. I got to play the Ryman twice, which was such a cool experience. One of them being with my church the first time, which was just crazy.
So good.
So I think that was like, it might have been the top, just because it's like, one, it's already just a bucket list venue for so many people, but also with it being a hometown Nashville venue, it was like special. And to get to do it for our church's Christmas is the first time was really cool. And then to go back just a few months later and headline it with Tucker was so cool.
That was a stunning show.
And so both of which you attended, which was pretty cool. So I'd say the Ryman was really, really special. The O2 was awesome. A few years ago, it was only a 20-minute set, but hey, I'll take it. I played Red Rocks with Kane, which I'm super excited about. And it was such a great experience. And then
and you've done Red Rocks twice, right?
I did it just the one time.
Oh, just the one time. Okay.
Hopefully we'll be going back soon. We'll see. And that was super fun. And I think it was cool because there was just, it was a K-Love event, so there was just so many other artists there, and just running into so many people, and like it was just a special day for everybody. But yeah, I don't know. I think some venues I'm looking forward to, or like just really want to do, the Gorge out in Washington. One, it's just a wild, beautiful venue.
It is.
It's also in your neck of the woods of where you grew up, so I think it'd be pretty special to play there. Bridgestone Arena, just being my Nashville home arena. I have yet to play it, which I think would be super dope. Madison Square Garden in New York. There's some cool ones. We're actually playing a really awesome theater in New York coming up in February with Tucker, which I'm super excited. So yeah, I don't know. There's so many cool ones, but I think I'm really pumped to go to Australia. We're playing some really cool venues over there in March. So that'll be awesome. Yeah.
Well, Dominic, just as your mom, I couldn't be prouder just of the person that you are. I mean, clearly I'm proud of the things that you've done, and I know the things that you're going to do, but the foundation in your life, I know, is Jesus Christ, and you love him and you live for him. And you've also impressed me with how you have prayed through things and really just made an altar before the Lord and just said, this is what I want to do, Lord, but it belongs to you. And I've got to trust you with my life and with my gift. And just being so young, I know it's been a lot to carry, but you are doing it so well. And it's just a privilege to be part of this and just to watch what God is doing. And I think that on this, I mean, this next year for you is just going to be awesome. But I hope that I and your dad have instilled in you this passion to dream for very big things. And one other thing I want to say before we bring this to a close is, though Dominic branched out very early, he has remained very tethered to home. That cord has not been severed in a way that I think could very naturally be. He has always returned home with so much joy and just happiness to be home, and cared so much for his siblings, and just, there's that balance of having to learn, how do you re-enter back into normal life? And you've learned that. And I know some weeks are harder than others because some tours and events are just harder. But you have done that so well. So my final question, and then we'll bring this to a close, is what are you currently dreaming about doing?
What am I currently dreaming about doing? I think next, like actively, or like just some crazy dream?
It can be anything. It can be down the road, or it can be something soon.
I think right now, especially that we're coming to a close for our touring season with Tucker this year, we're kind of slowly rolling out some really fun announcements for next year, and some stuff that I can't talk about yet, but I think I'm really, really, really excited for what we're going to be able to do next year, from a crew, a design, a show, and just I think I'm really stoked to see what, me and the team are going to be able to come up with for next year. So I'm really excited about that.
It's going to be
and
good.
I think that's the biggest one right now.
That's awesome.
Super stoked to see how that gets off the ground. Lots of really fun ideas being thrown out. So
it's going to be so good.
Super cool.
So Dominic, where can people follow you and find you if they want to see your work and stay connected with you?
So I have 2 Instagrams. One is kind of a lot of work and personal, Dominic Ingegneri on Instagram, or I have a DI Creative Instagram, which is just work and really cool projects that I get to work on, or my website, dicreative.co, has most of my work and a way to contact me and all that jazz. So, yeah.
All right. I hope that you were so encouraged and inspired by Dominic's story. And I really encourage you to follow him, to see his work, to reach out to him, to be bold, to ask questions, to pursue your goals, to pursue your dreams, no matter how old you are. If you're young, start now. If you're old, it's never too late. So from my heart to yours, and I know from Dominic's heart to yours, we want to encourage you to keep dreaming, keep going for it, you guys. We love you, and thank you so, so much for joining us today on the Dreamers Podcast. Dreams don't come with a roadmap, only courage, curiosity, and the willingness to keep going. If today's story resonated with you, let it remind you that your journey matters, even if it's still unfolding. Thank you for spending this time with me today on the Dreamers Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a little inspiration today. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep moving, and trust that the story you're writing is worth telling. We'll see you on the next episode.